I think at some point everyone should study abroad or live in another country. It's pretty life changing, and I'm really happy that I ended up doing it. I was in college at the time, but I was also working part time, and going back and forth between the two was pretty boring. Every day pretty much looked the same, and I hated my schedule. I'd go back from work to school and work to school. So I knew I needed some type of change, so I thought to myself, what if I just left the country? At the time, Japan was really the only place I was thinking about. I was getting really into anime, and I mean, look at this place. Who wouldn't want to visit? Also, I took this picture from one of our trips. Pretty nice, right? Since I had always known that I'd wanted to go to Tokyo, I had started looking for programs, and through my intense research, and definitely not just the first program I found on my school's website, I was set. Now there was just the small task of asking my parents. However, for me, this was pretty difficult because I never really showed any interest in travel, but I knew if I didn't want to go totally insane, I probably had to do this now. So after painfully explaining all the reasons why I wanted to go abroad, surprisingly my parents were pretty cool with the idea. And now with that out of the way, just came the small task of signing all my documents. I'm sure this won't be a super long process, and everything will go smoothly. So the only things I needed were my transcript, certificate of eligibility, updated passport, my visa, and a health certificate, and then I'd be all set. And I'm sure my university and the government will be really quick with getting back to me. Right, guys? 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 Finally, after some months later, everything finally arrived, and now I could start learning Japanese. And when I say learning Japanese, I mean downloading one app and never really opening it again. I think the only words I actually learned were hello and where's the bathroom, and I thought I was pretty much ready for Japan. Up until this point, I only had ever been outside of the country one time, and the flight wasn't even half of the 12 hours I was about to go on. On the day of the flight, I was pretty nervous, considering I was going to another country where I didn't know a single person or speak the language, but it'd be going back to work for a little while. After going back and forth from Japan a couple of times now, I think there are three main phases to every long flight. The first is going through every movie you've downloaded and realizing that you've probably already seen them all before. Wait a second. Is this that movie where Tom Cruise does the Mission Impossible? Phase 2 is where you listen to the same few songs in your playlist. However, I never got Spotify Premium and I only have one song downloaded on Apple Music. So every flight I have to listen to Closer by the Chainsmokers over and over and over again. Phase 3 is the last 2 hours of the flight where you constantly check the clock and feel like the plane is somehow going in reverse. Come on. Come on. Wait, what? After what felt like the longest flight of my life, I finally landed in Japan. Now, I wasn't really expecting to get through the airport very quickly, however, I wasn't really prepared for just how many people were actually traveling to Japan. After going through several security checkpoints, I was finally getting close to customs, and I'm not sure if you guys have ever felt like this, but it's like when you go to Disneyland, you think you're close to the front of the line, and you turn the corner and there's still about a mile before you reach the front. Finally made it to the— oh my god! Once you get to customs, you hand them your visa information and your passport and pretty much pray that you did everything right. And then, after waiting for what feels like an uncomfortable amount of time, they give you your ID and then you're good to go. Now, one of the nice things about Japan is they already have your checked bags waiting for you, and then all you have to do is scan your passport and you're officially in the country. Once I finished getting through my last checkpoint, I kinda realized that finding my group was gonna be a lot harder than I expected. However, after talking to pretty much every foreigner that I saw, I found the right group of people that I was looking for. Soon after meeting up with my group, we would end up taking a bus to a hotel that was actually right next to the airport, where we would just be staying for one night, and then the next day we would actually go to the dorms where most of the other students would be staying for the semester. I would actually be staying at a different dorm. This was because I wanted a more unique experience, so I would be staying at a shared house that pretty much had kids from every country. So after our night at the hotel that was right next to the airport, we were ready to head into the heart of Tokyo. That next morning, the bus dropped us off at the dorm that all of the other students were staying at, and I was pretty much told to find my own way to my accommodation. If you've ever seen a map of Tokyo's train system, it can be a little overwhelming, especially for me coming from a place where we only have one train line, and literally no one uses it. However, Google Maps is pretty useful, so after a while you'll get used to it, but your first time you're definitely gonna get lost. Like, how did I even get up here? So after bouncing around from station to station, I was finally able to find my dorm. One of the main reasons why I chose this dorm was because it was only 2 minutes away from my new school, and I have a really bad habit of sleeping in, and by sleeping in, I mean just completely ignoring my alarm. After signing some forms, they showed me to my room, and it was a little small to say the least. Pretty cozy. But not really. It was a little bit bigger than this, but it was going to be my home for the next 6 months. I think the best part about studying abroad is the people you get to meet, and on my floor there were so many Dutch students who I'd end up becoming really good friends with, and pretty much everywhere we went we'd have an awesome time, even though they kind of made me feel like a kid because they were literally so tall. So that's all I wanted to cover in this video, but in the next one I want to talk about some of my different travel experiences and stories from inside Japan. And then in the future, hopefully turn this channel into more of a story time where I talk about some of my different high school and college experiences. So thank you guys, and make sure to like and subscribe.